Hey everyone, and welcome to Screams After Midnight. I am Peter, and joining me as always my co-host. He is not Patton Oswalt. Do not, correct your television sets. Is in fact one Timothy P. Vargulish. The P, of course, stands for President.
Sure. Yeah. No, I'm not Patton Oswalt, but hey, I do consider him a colleague. I think we're about equally as funny.
I thought you were going to say equally successful. I don't know which one's more ludicrous, to be honest. But
I mean, he's got a little bit of a leg up on me. I've written more comic books than him, though. As far as I know, I think he wrote maybe 2 comic books. I know he did a JLA one shot and a Serenity one shot. But he might have done a few things for the Goon. But hey, I wrote way more.
That's such a weird barometer. That's like me saying, "Oh, I've done more podcasts than Steven Spielberg, therefore I am more successful," even though Spielberg is clearly more successful.
Well, clearly, I mean, obviously, you're more successful in the podcast arena than him. So only
because he's not decided to do one. If he decide to do one tomorrow, he'd instantly have more listeners than us by millions, probably.
Sure. But would it be any good, honestly? Has Spielberg made a good movie in like 20 years?
It's an honest question. There's definitely defendants of some of his movies. I mean, and I get why they defend them. People like Minority Report. People like, Catch Me If You Can was not bad. But
sure. I mean, I guess I just haven't watched many of his movies. I'm sure. Bridge of Spies and Lincoln and stuff, I'm sure are probably good, but I don't really have much desire to watch them.
That was my review of Lincoln.
Oh yeah. Well, yeah, I do consider him, again, an equal, because as an American creator, he created politics, and I created Goat Man. So again, I do consider us a little bit in the same field.
Something very odd about the way you think about things, Tim. Never change.
Okay.
So we're going to talk about a movie today. We're a horror movie podcast. I don't know if I even got to that part yet. We're a horror film podcast. Every week we talk about horror movies, but it's October. It is the October-thon, which means we're putting out episodes every single day, and it's killing us just a little bit. Just a little bit. So much recording. But we're here today. We're going to do the second of the 3 movie votes that we had, because every month on patreon.com/MailFuzzTV we put up a vote for our patrons to pick between 4 films. For the October-thon, last month we put the votes up. We put up 3 votes. 1 was for everyone, including the public, and then 2 Patreon only votes. And this was one of those. The theme of this vote was John Carpenter. It was 4 John Carpenter movies that we hadn't done yet. And the winner, by a fair margin, actually, was The Fog. So that is what we're going to talk about today. We'll start spoiler-free, as we always do. We'll give you a warning in the middle before we get into spoilers. But this is John Carpenter's The Fog from 1980. And if I just click, I'm fairly confident in what I'm about to say, but I'm just going to double-check, just in case I'm wrong, because that's entirely possible. But I believe this is the movie that is sandwiched in between. It's the only thing in between Halloween and no, Escape from New York came before The Thing. I was going to say this is sandwiched in between the Halloween and The Thing, but Escape from New York did come before The Thing. So fair enough. Because I was going to say what a legacy to live up to, both right before and after it, like those 2 movies. Yeah. He also did a couple of TV movies in 1978 and 1979. Did Elvis and Someone's Watching Me. Don't know if I care about Elvis, but Someone's Watching Me sounds interesting. A woman is being watched in her apartment by a stranger who also calls and torments her. A cat and mouse game begins. That actually sounds pretty good. I want to see this TV movie now. So
might hit a little too close to home for you.
What? What? How dare you? So we're talking about The Fog. That's what we're talking about. The premise of The Fog is it's a town of oh god, Antonio Bay.
Antonio Bay.
Yeah, I got there. I was like, it's not Amnesty. That's Aquaman. That's Aquaman. Antonio Bay. And you have a cast full of people who have been in other Carpenter movies. There's at least 3 cast members from Halloween in this, including Jamie Lee Curtis, Nancy Loomis, and the sheriff. to whoever that, I don't know his actor's name. But then you also have Tom Atkins in there, who Tim is repping today. Yes, Tom Atkins rules. Very good. And although it's Tom Atkins without the mustache though, which to me is lesser Atkins.
Oh sure, yeah. It's unfortunate they just have a mustache in here. But you know what's interesting? I don't think I've caught this other times when I've seen the movie. But do you know the name of his character?
I did. He said it on the phone. The character's name is Nick Castle. Yes.
Yeah, that escaped me in other viewings, and then when they mentioned it this time, I was like, wait a minute, that's a nice little Halloween nod.
It's not even just that. There's a character in here called Dan O'Bannon, which is the one of the writers, the creator of Alien. I don't know if Dan O'Bannon has anything to do with this movie, but it's interesting that they've got someone named after him.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a couple of like references I caught like that. At one point on the radio station, I think they mentioned that they're going to be playing something by the Coupe de Villes, which is John Carpenter's band, which...
Yeah, also, there's a character, one of the guys on the boat near the start is called Tommy Wallace.
Oh, shit. Okay.
So, yeah. Which makes me wonder if some of these other names references to things that I'm just not getting because I just don't know them. But
maybe. Maybe.
But interesting. So it's basically this town, and it says the birthday of the town. It's the 100th birthday of this town, and the fog rolls in and brings with it these pirate ghosts because they were wronged in the past. There's a whole backstory the movie gets into, and we're introduced to a bunch of different characters around the town. Adrienne Barbeau is in there. Barbeau is in there, and she is the radio host who broadcasts from the lighthouse, which is a really cool thematic little image. Like, the image of her in the lighthouse, like broadcasting, like, switching over guys, like, I'll be with you till 1 a.m. playing music and keeping you turned on. Which, whatever. So you got her, who of course wanted to be in Escape from New York. Jim Lee Curtis's mother, Janet Leigh, who of course was in Psycho, is in here as well, who I did recognise. And what's interesting actually is that obviously she looks quite different in this compared to Psycho, which was 20 years before this, but she doesn't look that different in this compared to Halloween H2O, which is like the one cameo of her as an old woman that I know sort of well. And I'd seen this movie before, but it'd been a while. So she's in there. Like, so yeah, you got this Hal Holbrook's in there, who's an actor who he's the priest in this, but he's popped up in a bunch of stuff over the years. So big notable cast, and yeah. So it's basically, it takes place over 2 nights. The first night some creepy stuff happens, but it's the second night on the actual birthday of the town where the fog comes in proper, and the town has to kind of deal with it, and how there's dangerous ghosts in the fog that are killing people. So, Tim, first of all, had you seen this before?
Yes. Several times actually. I think possibly even earlier this year.
Okay.
But yeah.
For me, I think it has been like over 10 years, maybe even like 15, something like that. But hey, so did you enjoy this viewing of The Fog?
So the reason why I've seen it a couple of times is because it's one of those ones where I'm always like, should I rewatch this? Like, because I don't remember much about it. I don't know, maybe if I watch it, something will click, because like everything about this on paper kind of makes it sound like it should be one of the best movies ever made. I mean, John Carpenter, Tom Atkins, Jamie Lee Curtis, Adrienne Barbeau. I mean, the premise kind of has this cool, like, urban legendy vibe to it, where it's like it even kind of starts off with like as a, like a campfire story, which I think is cool. But I don't know. I think overall it just doesn't do anything for me. Like, I just find it to be kind of boring. Like, once you do kind of see like the ghost pirates, I do think they look cool, but you don't really see much of them. There's some cool stuff in the ending, and it's Carpenter, so you get some good stuff in there. Like, I don't feel like the music is as prevalent in other movies, but when it does kick in, it's good. But
yeah, there's a theme in there, yeah.
But I don't know. Unfortunately, it just I hate to say it, but it just really doesn't work for me. Like, it's definitely not the worst movie in the world, but I just expect so much better, from everyone involved here.
Especially this, like I say, this is right between Halloween and The Thing and
Yeah.
Escape from New York, which is funny because obviously Escape from New York's not a movie people do in this show because it's not a horror movie. But I will say it's interesting to me because I actually kind of agree with you. I don't think this movie's that great. I think it's okay. I think there's, it's a decent enough watch, and there's a bunch of nice actors in it that I like. I think it is lacking something, despite the fact that even taking out the actors, because you said on paper this sounds great, even just the premise, this idea that the fog rolls in, and the main thing in the premise that I really like, that there's not much of in the movie, but the idea that Adrienne Barbeau in the lighthouse, and she's broadcasting over the radio, is actually instructing people over the radio to where to go, because we're safe, where the fog is, and she's trying to like be the eyes and the ears of the town.
Yeah.
Like, there's a really cool premise in there, but it's only really a small part of the film. So much of the movie is the build up to the actual night where the fog comes in, and honestly, I feel like the movie should get to that point by the end of Act 1, but it doesn't. It gets to that point at the end of Act 2. And because of that, I think we have too many characters, at least in the sense that I don't really feel like I get to know any of them. They're just kind of...
I think, that was a big thing I was thinking of, because I do think the characters are good, but since there are so many, it feels like we're constantly jumping between them, because it's I think maybe it would be different if they all kind of met up, or they were one force, or especially like Carpenter's especially good at kind of doing those bottle movies or siege movies, where like some of my favorite stuff is kind of towards the end when they're all kind of together in the one area, but most of the movie just feels so dissected, it's just okay, we're gonna cut to these two people for about 5 minutes, and then we're gonna cut to these two people who are doing their thing, and then these two people, it's I don't know, I feel it seems like a bit much. Yeah,
they never really feel like a unified town, which is a shame. And I think what the other problem is that the movie is 90 minutes long, and it actually it does this thing in the opening where, as the opening titles play, it's the night before all this stuff happens, and there's a lot of little creepy things happening, alarms going off, glass breaking, just little things like that. And I looked at the runtime when the titles finally finished. It spends so much time sort of having Adrienne Barbeau's narration from the radio come in and out. We don't see her till the very end of this. By the time it comes to directed by John Carpenter, we're a good 18 minutes into the movie at that point.
Oh,
we I feel like it actually does waste too much time. Setting the mood, even though I like the mood that it's trying to set. I think at that point I'm no, we could have spent an extra 10 minutes in that first 18 introducing some of these characters, giving them a bit more time, and because I would have where they all congregate in one place. I'd have that at the start of Act 3, and I'd have Act 2 be them all separate and trying to get to better places. The problem is in the movie though, that all happens in the space of 5 minutes in one little section, and it's so late on that by that point I don't know, I feel like I don't really get to know any of these characters, and other than the ones that have names that are from other things, then it's okay. I remember Nick Castle because that's a sort of joke. It's an in-joke kind of thing. I wouldn't know any of the names of these characters. They're not memorable in any way, shape, or form. And what's interesting is that I mentioned Escape from New York is that I also think that one's kind of disappointing. I think it's better than this one. But I think, again, that's a movie that I think has a great premise, but I don't love Escape from New York. I think it has a great theme tune, don't get me wrong. That theme's fantastic. Kurt Russell's pretty good in it, but I don't think it lives up to its premise. And I think it's interesting that for me, as a big Carpenter fan, sandwiched in between what I think are easily Carpenter's two best movies, Halloween and The Thing, you have these two in between that are kind of good premises but fall short of actually living up to what I would expect, and not just expect in general, just expect from Carpenter. What I'd expect him to deliver with these premises just feels a little bit off. So I don't want to trash it though. I don't think it's a difficult watch. It's a perfectly easy to go down movie to put on for 90 minutes, but it's never as cool as you want it to be. It's never what you want it to be.
And maybe it's a little unfair because of where you're probably attaching such big expectations, since it is a Carpenter movie. But I think that's a good way to put it though. Yeah, it kind of never really shapes up to what you want it to be. I just feel like maybe they could have sped things up and really try to have more kills. I feel like, I don't know, maybe it could have been better if it kind of just takes place in one night, and the fog maybe just kind of blankets the whole town or something. Like, because just the idea of, like you're saying, so much of it is like getting ready for the fog, and like, them in the daylight kind of, running around and researching and stuff. And it's like, I feel like you could just lose a lot of that. Like, I want to see these spirits, coming out of the fog and, attacking people and killing people. You really don't get like too much like death or gore in this, unfortunately.
No, you don't. And the actual like culmination is really quick as well. The actual like horror part of the movie feels really rushed. And it's a shame. And it's not so much that it's not so much that I think it needs to be much longer. It's just that I think it spends too much time doing other things.
Yeah, and who knows? Like, I don't know. Maybe it was like a budget thing or something. Maybe, they're working with what they got. But I do like that, kind of final act. I think, a lot of that stuff looks really cool and was fun. And but like you said, it's so short and rushed that it just, by then you don't really care as much, and it's kind of just over by the time you're getting into it.
Yeah, because I do start getting into it. It's right around the time. Like I say, where Adrienne Barbeau over the radio is like sort of like asking for people to go and help her son. She's got like a little boy, and she's like directing people. That's when I think the movie kind of like, okay, I love this premise. I love now what it's become. But at that point in the movie, and again, I checked the runtime because I was kind of conscious as I was watching this, like how long it was spending doing things. I checked the runtime. The moment in the film that I think it starts getting good, there's 18 minutes left on the clock. 18 minutes, and that's including the closing credits, obviously. So, like, I feel like it focuses on some of the wrong things, and it's not so much that I think the characters in this movie need to be deep characters where I need to get to know them in that way, but it's just that I feel like none of them have a lot to do, even once, because in a movie like this, I'd expect the characters to feel worthwhile in the fact that they have a lot of actions to do. Like, they have a lot of like, okay, so. But by the time we got to the end and they're all in one place, Nancy Loomis's character, who's like helping is Janet Leigh the mayor or something? I don't know what she is exactly, but those two characters have nothing to do in the last act of this movie. They're kind of just there, and it's weird. Tom Atkins and Jamie Lee Curtis have this weird kind of like new romance that happens, which is a bit weird because he's like twice her age, and that seems to be a running thing with Tom Atkins in movies. But they have at least a little bit of something to investigate, so they have something going on, and he's kind of the closest we have to like a main hero who's like saving people. But again, it's very light on what it's doing. Yeah,
and it's like, could you even really say like who the main character in this movie is?
No. I mean, it would be between him, Steve, Adrienne Barbeau's character.
Yeah. But like no one really feels like they have enough time given to them to, and like obviously it's not like there's something wrong with having a big ensemble cast, but usually there's someone that kind of sticks out that you point to, like, all right, well, this is a person that we're mostly going to be following, or that we're going to want to check in on. But it didn't really feel like there's anyone like that in this.
Now, I realize as I say this that there was a remake, and I've not seen the remake. I'm sure we'll do it at some point now that we've done this one. But like, it does
starring your favorite Superman, Tom Wellington.
Go fuck yourself. But like, like this movie does feel prime for a good remake. Like, I could see a really good version of this movie. Kind of, because that's the other thing. Like, I will say the one. I think the pirates in the fog, when they're like walking into places and you see like the glowing eyes and stuff, look quite good. I do think the wide shots of the town as the fog's supposed to be rolling in does look very dated, because they can't just like CG fog. They have to have this weird like overlaid. And it's like, that doesn't look like fog. That looks like smoke. There's a difference. Fog does not look as cloudy as this does. But it's a limitation at the time, so whatever. But.
And I think you just reminded me, like, one of the reasons why I had wanted to rewatch this earlier, like this year, because I think NECA, if you're familiar with them, they do like a lot of they do like action figures and stuff, and they do a lot of horror movie stuff. And I remember I think it was them, if it was someone else, I forget who, but I'm pretty sure it was them. They released like a fog action figure, of one of the pirates, and the figure looked so cool that it did make me go like, oh wow, like this is an awesome like design. I should probably rewatch this movie. And I don't know, it's weird to say like the I don't know. Just looking at that action figure, probably a bit of a better experience than watching the movie. Like, I don't know, it's cooler.
The ghost powers do look good. Like it does this thing with the lighting where you never see like a lot of detail in them, so they always have this kind of silhouette feel, but with glowing eyes, which looks quite good and it feels different. So
and like you were saying, with the remake, I do agree. It could use a good remake. The problem is it would have to be like a remake in a capable person's hands. I think I don't know who actually did the remake, but it's just the very generic Hollywood kind of crap that was coming around at that time.
I'm happy to say I've never seen the remake, but I'm sure I will for this show. The future.
Yep.
We'll do like a punishment month. We'll just do remakes of stuff I've already done.
Unfortunately, people would love that.
I hate you all. I hate you all. All right, we're doing spoilers. Okay, I think we're there. All right. So yes, we've got spoilers for the fall. Before we start that section, though, I will just say to you, I will remind you about patreon.com/MailFuzzTV, which is the main way we get supported and the main way you can ensure all the content keeps coming and support streams to go on forever and ever and ever and ever and ever until one of us is dead. But you can do that over at patreon.com/MailFuzzTV. You can support us for as little as $1 per month, and that $1 will get you a bonus exclusive episode of Screams every single month. And of course, in October, you get 4 bonus episodes, but on a regular month, you get 1. But of course, there's a whole back catalogue now that you can dive into. There's bonus episodes of other shows that we do in MailFuzz TV. Me and Tara do the sci-fi movie podcast, the Atomic Cinema Experiment, so that has a nice little backlog of bonus movies now too. So you can check all that stuff out, and then at the higher tiers you get to vote and things like that. So go and have a look on Patreon and see if you're interested, and there you go. But we'll get to spoilers now for The Fog, and movie starts, lots of creepy things are happening around town. We're jumping around. Tom Atkins is driving in his Jeep or whatever it is, and he picks up Jamie Lee Curtis hitchhiking, and they have like 0.01% of chemistry, maybe. Like like I actually, even though I've seen this before, see when it cut to them the next time we see them in this opening sort of like 20-minute sort of like very quick cut around of all these characters, we see them lying in his bed, and I'm like, whoa, okay, they had sex, all right.
Yeah, I was surprised. Because it does feel like, especially, the age difference does seem pretty noticeable. I mean, sure, Tom Atkins is a cool guy. He's drinking a beer while he's driving. What's cooler than that? But yeah, then to just like cut to them. Like there's no like hint of like flirtiness really or anything. Like they're just kind of talking, having a normal conversation. Then the next scene you see them, they're just like both lying naked in bed. You're like, oh, okay.
Yeah. Well, there's the one creepy thing that happens. All the car windows all smash on their own. So I guess that just puts people in the mood.
That's true. Yeah.
Never done it for me, but I guess some people just some windows smash, some creepiness. You know what I could really go for right now is some of that sex. That's what I think. So that's happening. We see, other things happening. Nancy Loomis's character, like her TV starts acting up and her car alarm goes off, and just all these little things around town. The one actual severe thing though is that the fog does reach a boat that has like 3 guys on it, and they kill the guys. And one of the big plot points at the end is that these ghosts only want to kill 6 people, so they've already killed 3 in the opening section because there's like 3 guys on this boat. So there's not actually, like you say, there's not a lot of deaths. So it's actually written into the plot that they only want 6.
Yeah.
So and if you knew that at this point, you'd be like, wait, there's only 3 deaths left? What?
Yeah.
Only 3?
And it's like if you're gonna have like 6 deaths, that's fine, but like at least make them count. Mm-hmm. It's like you do, like a lot of them just usually end up kind of just being someone getting like dragged away by like a hook or something like that. It's not like there's anything.
What do we have? We have the 3 in the boat, not all of whom you see. You see one guy get like hook stabbed or whatever. We find the dead body, of course, of one of the others later, but we have the old granny who's taking care of Stevie's son. And we have the weatherman who's got a crush on Stevie, who keeps calling her and telling her about the fog and the weather and how much he wants to date her and so on and so on. And then obviously the final one's the priest, Father Malone, at the very end. So, yeah.
Which I at least thought that was cool, the ending.
Well, the ending was weird for me. I felt like it was kind of almost a bit cheap how it it does this thing where they're all in this. We're kind of skipping ahead here, but they're all in the church, and the army of like however many ghosts. Because we find out, of course, that at the formation of this town, when this town was founded, the priest and some of the other people in the town who set the town up actually betrayed this guy named Blake and his crew, who were coming for refuge, and they lured them into a dangerous part of the ocean, or the seabed, and it destroyed them and killed them all, and they just went the next day and stole all their gold. And that's why they want revenge. That's why the ghost spirit has been wanting vengeance all this time. And it doesn't.
If they do a remake now, they should really get Tommy Wiseau to play the pirate. Like, everybody betray me.
I'm a ghost. I'm alive. Give me my money. So we have this.
Oh, hi, Dick.
So all the ghosts show up, and by this point they've found this golden cross, like because it's Fallon Malone's grandfather who was this guy 100 years ago, and he actually felt guilty, so he kept all the gold and told the others that it was stolen, but he actually made a gold cross out of it, this giant gold cross, and Malone's,
that greedy church was like, hell yeah, we'll take that gold cross.
Well, he was running the church. This is church. He is a greedy one, but he's all guilty. You see, he's a good person deep down. But he Fallon Malone is like basically offering himself, and he's holding the cross. He's like, no, take me as the sixth one. Take me as the sixth one, and have your gold back. And the main pirate like touches Blake. That would be touches the cross, and it lights up. And it's actually Atkins pulls Fallon Malone back, just as like everything disappears. So the idea being they got the cross, so everyone disappears, and we have this moment at the end where Fallon Malone's left alone. Everyone thinks everything's done and over, and he's like, "But why not kill me? Why not kill first? So it's all six." And then the fog rolls in just one last time, and he gets decapitated. He swings his sword to decapitate him, and it cuts to the fog. And that's cool, but I did feel like it was a little bit. I don't know. I felt a little bit like, yeah, why not just kill him before you left? Before it felt almost. That's true. It felt a little bit like, oh, we want the final scare at the end of the movie, so we're going to just have them not kill him then, so we can do it at the end. That was a bit weird to me.
What could be kind of cool is if you do have something like this where, like, they appear every 100 years, like. I don't know if you do the sequel, but like keep it like the same timeline, so it's like 100 years after this movie, and then it's like kind of futuristic. I don't know, that could be cool.
You want the deep far future version of the fog?
Yeah, yeah. I don't know. I think that'd be fun.
Okay. Call it the fog 2100 or something like that.
Yeah.
I don't know. Well, it'd be the fog 2080.
Yeah. That'd be cool. Sure. If it's popular, keep doing sequels, and like each one gets further into the future. Eventually, it's like a post-apocalyptic one.
The sad part is, Tim, is next year this movie's 40 years old. We're only 60 years away from this 100 years later.
Yikes!
I know.
Yikes!
Yeah, I mean we'll probably be dead for then, but like.
Of course, yeah.
But I mean, not by much. Not by much. Like if we lived to a decent age, we wouldn't have been going that long by the time this 100th anniversary rolls around.
I mean, it's not us I'm worrying about; it's the planet. But
oh, sure, yes.
I think if the planet survives like the next 5 years, I'll be surprised.
5 years.
Yeah.
Speeding up those projections, are we, Tim? No. Now I'll tell you one of the things I do like. I like some of the locations in this. I love the lighthouse, but more specifically, I love the path to the lighthouse. It's this big giant staircase. There's a nice scene of Adrienne Barbeau walking. She goes through this gate, and then it's just this really thin rock staircase that goes for probably like a half of a mile. It's like a half mile of a staircase going all the way down to where this lighthouse is at the edge of this cliffy seabed.
I think in general it's like a cool setting that you don't really see in a lot of horror movies. Like a lot of times you kind of get like the big city or the suburbs. You don't really get this kind of coastal town setting. Like, it's like a nice, kind of feels like a little sleepy small town, but then you can do a lot of stuff with that. Like there's ship stuff, port stuff, beach, lighthouse things that, it could be like a really cool setting. I feel like I do like the ones we get, but I feel like maybe we don't really explore the town enough.
No, I agree. The town should be more of a character. I like the idea of everyone being trapped in the town when the fog rolls in. They're trying to sneak around. Not quite like the mist, because it's not as dangerous as the mist, where if they go out in the fog, they're definitely just instantly dead. But like the idea of like Stevie like directing them sounds like such a good idea. But I mean, so in terms of the main plots that happen sort of throughout the middle portion of the movie, you've got Atkins and Jamie Lee Curtis, who are investigating the fact that because his friends were on the boat, and all the ones that died in the boat were Atkins' friends. So he goes out to find the boat. Jamie Lee Curtis just kind of comes with him because she's bored. And,
she's in love.
She's in love. They find the dead body, which leads to a scene where they're actually back at like the coroners or wherever, and the guy's like, this is weird because like they like this body's as if it's been under in the water for like a month, even though it's clearly only been since last night. And like again, this was just one of these weird scenes where I felt, why is there a scene where like a corpse like stands up and like gives Jamie Lee Curtis a jump scare? Like, why is this a scene in this movie? It felt weird. Like, I don't know, like you've got such a good premise here. Why are we adding this like generic scene in here that feels disconnected, especially since
it's strange.
It's not like the other victims of the killings like come back either. This is like a completely isolated incident.
I don't know, I thought this was really weird. It stands out as kind of pointless and doesn't really fit in with the rest of the movie. And like like you said, I guess it's to maybe try to put something a little supernatural, have some type of like scare or weird thing going on at this time, but how does it fit with the rest of the movie?
I don't know. Oh, whoa. Is Holbrook still alive?
Maybe.
Yeah, there's no date of death in IMDb. He was born in 1925.
Is he going to be in the next Halloween movie?
I mean, that dude's old. That's like what? He's in his 90s. Jeez. Oof. And he was in Lincoln in 2012, so it's not even been that long since. It's not even been that long since he was in some. In fact, hell, he was in TV shows like 2 years ago. He was in Hawaii Five-0 and Grey's Anatomy 2 years ago. Wow. Jeez, dude's getting up there. Power to him. Anyway, so that's kind of their plot. And then you have a very small plot, which I guess it's more Father Malone's plot because he finds the book and he kind of gives us some of the backstory. But that ties in Janet Leigh, who's also the wife of one of the guys on the boat, and Nancy Loomis, their characters. They go to see Father Malone and hear about this stuff in the book. And that's basically it. Like, they hear about it, go, this is creepy, don't tell us this, kind of thing. And that's kind of it until stuff actually starts happening later. And obviously she eventually realizes that her husband's probably dead, and that's kind of like a small beat. But there's not really much to it. It's kind of shocking how little really meaningful happens to the characters in this movie. Which I think is what gives it the feeling of being just a little bit boring.
Yeah, unfortunately. Like, it especially feels like a waste because... it is such a good cast. Kind of wish they had more to do. But yeah, like it's really hard to like. It feels like you can kind of go through the whole plot like really simply and like just like like a couple of minutes, like versus other movies where you would be like, and then this happens and this happens, there's a school scene here, then this and this and blah blah blah. Like like if you're recounting like Halloween or The Thing, you're gonna go like scene by scene because everything is so like captivating and interesting. And this is kind of like you could just give a pretty quick overview in like 2 minutes. Yeah,
I'd say those are the two plots, and then the third plot would be Adrienne Barbeau up in the lighthouse,
right,
who like notices like this weird thing happens because her son found this like part of a ship with a name on it, and it ends up bursting out of flames, and like her record player starts like saying like, oh, we will kill six will die, kind of thing, and everything goes back to normal. But that kind of freaks her out enough that she's kind of skeptical. But then another part of her plot is just that she's kind of she isn't really flirting. She's all like the weatherman's flirting with her constantly over the phone, and she seems to like he's company, if nothing else, even if she's not as into him. But he's actually the first one to kind of really die once the fog rolls in on the main night, and that's what tells her to warn everyone. But again, this is so late in the movie by the time this happens that it doesn't really feel like it gives you a setup where there's okay, now that we've done the setup, a lot of fun stuff can happen. It spends so much time setting it up that by the time that it's done setting it up, it's like, okay, we've got like 15-20 minutes left, we have to wrap this up. We're on a clock here, people, we're on a clock. So they all end up at the church together, and they're barricading and fighting back, and the ghosts come in. But again, even once they're at the church, there's not a whole lot of like planning, there's not a whole lot of like, okay, what can we do to survive kind of thing, which is what I like about these types of movies, is the survival elements. But sadly there's not a whole lot to talk about with the fog. I feel like it's a fairly lacking straightforward movie that just doesn't have enough bite to it.
And what I think is kind of weird is I do feel like it has a bit of a following. Like, I do think, sometimes I will see people like referring to it as a classic and everything, which, like, again, I can see not hating the movie, but to really revere it seems kind of strange to me. Yeah,
and for the record, I don't hate it. Like, it's not a terrible movie.
Yeah.
It's easy going. It's pleasant enough to watch. There's some things to like. There's a cast to like. There's some nice shots here or there. There's some interesting locales. Like, it's not a bad movie. It's definitely disappointing. As a John Carpenter fan, this was like as a movie from his prime, let's watch it, and it's like, oh, this is right in the middle of his prime, and yet it feels like, well, I mean, don't get me wrong, I'd probably still take this over some of his late stuff that is really derided. But the fog not setting my world on fire. It's a shame. I wish it did.
Yeah, no, I'm in the same boat. It's I want more, and I feel like I've seen this more often than I should have, because it is one of those movies where I'll watch it, then forget about it, and then be like, was this good? Was there something I missed last time? I don't remember much about it. Let me try it again, and then I watch it again. I'm like, oh yeah, no, not really. It's just, not the worst thing ever, not horrible. There's enough stuff in there that makes it like passable. Like some good music, cast is great, and then the few instances where some interesting stuff is happening is cool. But if it was if it was school and it was like like a midterm or something, you'd give it a passing grade, but you'd probably write something like, I expected better from you or something.
You passed, but you are so much more capable. You have so much potential. What have you done?
Yeah. Like if you're a teacher, you would kneel down to the kid and be like, what's going on? I know you're better than this.
Is there trouble at home?
Yeah.
Is there trouble at home? Tell us, Carpenter. But and obviously he went on to make some great movies after this. This is by no means a harbinger.
Sure.
Like I say, The Thing is like 2 movies later, so like classics were coming. This one just I think the script need to really be refocused, and I wonder if there was a desire to rush this out for some reason or something. I don't know, but. There you go.
I mean, I mean, at this point, is Carpenter really much of a name? Like, I don't know if he has like a lot of clout, or if he's able to do much with the movie. I don't know. Maybe he's just kind of he's limited at this point.
I don't know. Career. Theoretically, like, I mean, Halloween was a huge hit, so I don't know.
Well, that's why I wasn't sure of, like, was it a hit right away, or was it something that like took a while to catch on?
Well, it took a while by today's standards because it didn't release in the whole country at once. It kind of did town by town. But but I think it was quick enough that by the time he was shooting in 1979, like your movie's huge. Like so I don't know. It's a shame. It's a shame. But that was The Fog. I definitely I would kind of say this is very kind of middle of the road Carpenter. Maybe just under the average of what I expect from him, but that's what I say. But hey, so Tim, what are you going to rate The Fog out of 10?
Unfortunately, it's going to sound pretty low, but I think I'm going to give it a 5.5. I think it's it's above that middle mark of other movies, but not by much. I don't think there's definitely good elements in there, but again, it just doesn't come together. And I hate to say it, but I am bored watching it, and that is kind of like, we said it before, but that's really is like one of the worst things that a movie can be. Like, at least if it's bad, at least there's something you can kind of laugh at or like scratch your head over. But boring is just such a blasé, neutral feeling. But there's enough stuff though that kind of puts it above like it being awful or anything, so it's still watchable, but unfortunately not as good as you want it to be.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think I'm that far off. I think I might stretch to a 6. Because a 5.5 does feel a bit harsh, because it is very dependable in what it's doing. It's just, I just wish it was doing more. I just wish it was more engaging. But I know it's weird, because I remember the first time I saw this was back in DVD, and a company in the UK put out a special edition of this and The Howling. And I was all excited because I was like, oh yeah, these nice special editions, and they were very similar kind of covers. Like Helen was all red, this one was all green, and I remember watching both movies and being kind of like just lukewarm on both of them and being like, what the hell, I thought these were two big horror movies. Like what back when this was probably like a mid to late high school kind of time, but I don't know, weird. But hey, so that is The Fog. Obviously there's more Carpenter to do. We'll definitely get to more Carpenter in the future, but we'll chip away. Maybe it'll be an October tradition now that there's no more Halloween movies to do, because we did the whole franchise. Maybe we'll just make sure we squeeze in a Carpenter every year, and work through them. So
sounds good.
You can let us know what you think of The Fog in the comments. You can like and subscribe and ding the bell to make sure that you get all the notifications. You can, of course, get us on Twitter at Screams Midnight. You can support us by rating the podcast on Apple Podcasts or whatever you use to listen to us. 5 stars on the review would be very good. It helps share us out and things like that. And we did mention, of course, halfway through the show, patreon.com/MailFuzzTV, where you can support us financially and get some bonuses. But that is otherwise us, and that is it. So, but yeah, so thank you very much for watching or listening. We always appreciate it. Keep watching scary movies, guys, and we will see you next time.